my volume.
Oh, let me
Man,
get myself together.
I'm not even gonna lie. Last night I went to bed with a headache. Woke me up at 4 a.m. Then my wife's alarms went off. Yeah, my wife's alarms went off and just blew my eye out. It was great.
Oops.
Yeah, we should probably. Oh wait, Wentus is watching. Wentus, will you share, please? That'd be completely epic of you since you got like the super share power. All right, let's let a few people tap in. Short show today, about 45 minutes. Thank you, Miss Wentus. Now watch, she's going to yell at me for calling her Miss again. You know how it goes. Good morning, Melissa.
How do you see people?
Oh,
okay.
pops
Now I
up on
see
my
it.
phone.
My bad.
And then we got the on screen that we can also see. And I've just got like 2015 vision. Miss Kathleen, thank you for tapping in. All right, we got
Good
enough people to start.
afternoon.
So,
What's up?
we got a problem. Okay. There are many problems.
Mm-hmm.
But one I wanted to go with this week was our policing issue here in Flint.
Mm-hmm.
As many of you know, I put a story up on FaceBase of what happened this Saturday, turning into Sunday, Father's Day. There's a block party.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of kids getting out of high school for the summer and wanting to celebrate. In my opinion, they did it the wrong way. But, I'm not the moral and the be all, right? So, about 40, 50 cars come onto my street full of kids and some adults, my age or age, some a little younger, some a little older,
Mm-hmm.
drinking and smoking. Just a party. But as what happens with parties and alcohol and teenagers, there were some fights breaking out. That's when I decided to call the cops the first time. Mm-hmm. Things are escalating. I was already uncomfortable. And now I'm feeling something bad's going to go down. The cops said, when we get to it. At about 12 something, 12:40, I want to say like 12:46, some shots rang out. Then more all around my house, some up the block, some down the block, some right next to my kid's window. I don't have an absolute number on victims yet. I do know one lady died. She was shot in the back of the head through her car.
Wow.
And that's when the cops showed up. Afterward, I was sitting there speaking with the sergeant. Once all the kids had left and they were waiting for the detective bureau because there's nothing the beat cops could really do except secure the scene.
Right.
And I'm talking with him. I'm like, I called several times tonight. This could have been avoided had you guys been able to show up. He goes, I only have 6 cars.
Yeah.
6 cars from the entirety of the City of Flint Police Department. There was an accident on Dort that required 4 cars. Then it turned out one of the drivers was a DUI. So they needed a 5th car.
Another car, right.
Just to take that guy to go get his blood work done. That's 5 out of the 6 cars, leaving 1 car for the rest of Flint. On a Saturday night in the summer, end of the school year. We have a policing problem here.
Mm-hmm.
And, as you and I talked about before, we like to see solutions, a more positive outlook than my normal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some ways that we could fix this? I mean, the obvious answer is hire more police.
But who's in a rush to be a police officer?
Here in Flint, no one.
How many people are jumping in line to be a police officer?
No.
Here's the thing about me, because I know I would do it. There are people out here with faster cars, bigger guns, badder guns. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So putting their life in jeopardy for, I don't know, $15, $20 an hour. I don't know how much they get paid, but
I think they started about $21 an hour.
Okay. Well, $21 an hour still
not worth it for me.
Yeah. And then it's like, you're expected, it's your job to run towards the problems. It's everyone else is running away. As a law enforcement officer, you're supposed to run towards the issues. You know what I mean? But again, if you're running around with a bulletproof vest and a 9 millimeter, and these guys are running around with 30 shots up with a machine gun, you know,
Home rigged
yeah,
machine gun.
yeah, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, what do you tell them? Like, hey, uh, but
You do what you do. I
right,
mean, yeah.
and this is just not a Flint problem. It's a nationwide
It's a
issue.
nationwide
It's a
problem.
nationwide issue. But uh, I'm assuming that you could do some type of hiring blast, or I'm not
Mhm.
sure. But then again, you have to have people interested in being in police officers.
So there's fringe benefits, which the city of Flint recognizes. I'm very happy about that, right?
Hmm.
And I'd like to see those expanded a bit.
Hmm.
Mr. Mays, Councilman Mays, has spoke about this before. Some of these old rundown houses with a little bit of touch up, you bring in people who have already been to the academy. Say, look, you get this house, no strings attached, as long as you're a cop for X amount of time here.
Hmm.
That's one positive way. Another way, in my opinion, is say City of Flint co-signs on a house for you, and just because it's a
Wow.
city co-signing, it brings down your overall mortgage interest rate.
Right.
That's another thing. There's a lot of different things that the city could do, but we haven't seen that, and there's various reasons why.
Hmm.
One of the things that I came up with was a ranger program, like the Texas Rangers, the Arizona Rangers. They are an all-volunteer, non-paid reserve police force, and they can be called upon and activated when weekends like the last one or this upcoming. This was a holiday weekend that just passed, and it was end of school, so people are going to be out and about. Things like the fair coming up.
Hmm.
You just call and activate them. They're unarmed. They're mainly there for civil and like traffic infractions,
Here's my
freeing up the
thing.
actual cops.
Here's my thing with that. Now, I would prefer there be ex police officers
Mhm.
or ex military,
Oh,
and I
they
would
go through the entire. They are licensed police officers. They go through the academy and all that. It's just say they have another job, but they still keep up with their certs and stuff. They are
they need to
actual
be.
police
I
officers.
think they, in my opinion, they need to be armed.
I
They
mean,
need to be armed. Like,
yeah.
I mean, just because, like, what I just said, like these people out here committing the crimes, they're not worried about.
Mhm.
They're breaking the law, so they got the biggest, baddest guns, and
I
all.
mean,
You know what I mean?
Texas Rangers are known for carrying. Arizona Rangers. It depends on which district they're in.
Right.
Cochise County, they carried. Up in Pima County, they did not. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you can make it to where, yeah, you carry. You have to provide your own firearm, and we have to make sure it is
It's up to regulations and whatnot.
and
Yeah.
not something that's like a high point.
Hmm.
God, high point. They're better off using it as a billy club.
Yeah.
I
No,
hate
I
those
got
things.
I got a friend that carries a high point. I keep telling him, like, you need to leave that paperweight alone, man. But you know,
I mean, there's a world of options here, and I think we need to start exploring them. You know, we could hopefully ask state at
mhm.
some point just to provide a direct funding just for hiring or incentive pay of our police officers.
Hold on. This is what it went to say.
I don't like the fact that Flint kids had to walk out to 11 plus cop cars at Southwestern at the last day of school if they do it on the last day to protect the kids every day. It makes sense. I mean, the very last day of school isn't any different in all reality than the first day or medium day.
But I remember being in school, and there was something there people you would plan on on the last day of
Senior
school. Yeah,
pranks.
no, not even just pranks. Like, we gonna fight on the last day of school. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to, like, so I don't. I'm not just trying to be contradictory, but
Hmm.
there are kids think that they cannot be suspended if they do things on the last day of school. So sometimes they plan to do things on the last day of school, whether it be fight, whether it be pranks, whether it be skipping school, whatever. Like, a lot of stuff happens on the last day of school.
Okay. I mean, and then we had the exact opposite problem just a few days later, where we had the problem at my place, lack of
Hmm.
police. Then the overcommitment of police, and not just one agency. It looked like two or three agencies involved in a high speed chase.
Hmm.
Now,
No, I saw Sheriff Burton,
mhm.
Flint. Yeah, that's 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised I didn't see that dark blue MSP going through there.
Right.
They got the best cars because there's also highway patrol.
There was a chase that was out here the other day, and it was I'm not sure if the dude was naked, but it looked like the dude
That's
was
the one
naked
I
to
was
me.
talking about.
Yeah. Oh, if that's the sad one, that must have been a part 2 of the video.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he bumped over the railroad tracks. That was one point of view, and then someone else caught the end further up
Yeah.
where he
I
lost
don't. Was he
control.
really
Slammed
naked though?
It looked like it.
I'm hoping he had on some flesh tone.
I at least saw socks.
Yeah, I did see that, but the top part, and then the way the cop just came and jumped on his back.
Yeah,
like,
so it isn't just our overcommitment, undercommitment. I think it's the way our police resources are used here.
okay.
I mean, what did that man do? Does anyone know the charges? Because
Nah, but he had to have been in a rush.
yeah, according to our city, mind you, our city. So Burton has nothing to do with that. Genesee has nothing to do with that. We can't tell them what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Flint is not involved in high speed chases unless it is a violent, felonious charge. So aggravated assault with a deadly weapon,
I thought
something
that
of
was
that
a
sort.
state law.
No,
It's not a state law. That's just like
no,
a city ordinance or something.
that's city.
Huh.
Same with Detroit. Yeah. So I'm wondering what this man may have gotten into, but did it really require that many cars from City of Flint when there were other agencies involved in it? I mean, how many people were just left without police coverage if something happened in front of their home while they're arresting one naked man who plowed into a tree?
Yeah.
I think we really need to readjust a lot of what we do around here, not just our hiring practices and how many we get. Oh, he lit something on
He
fire.
lit something on fire and ran out. What did he use as the accelerant? His clothes, his drawers. Like, what did he use to light?
He left his lighter there with him.
Like, what is going on?
You know, it's one of those things.
Oh, he allegedly set 2 fires, but again, you don't need clothes for that. I'm not sure if my man was naked, but it looked like it.
It looked like it, but at the end of the day, the only reason I can see someone setting fires and getting naked is drugs are a hell of a drug.
Whatever.
4 a.m., but the sun was already coming up, so they were chasing him for a minute. I mean, that's crazy, though. It took that many cars for that. And
whatever happened to the pit maneuver?
A lot of departments nationwide have stopped using it as much just because they lose control of that car, could plow into a house, plow into oncoming traffic, sometimes kill the driver of the person they're trying, of the car they're trying to stop. And you're not a cop to go kill people. You're supposedly not to. So pit maneuvering him and then he rolls over.
I mean,
I know.
If you can put your knee on someone's neck, or you can shoot somebody 80 times, or if you can, why can you not stop them from? Here's the thing with me. I lived in Virginia. I know Georgia does it. I know Virginia does it. I'm sure there are other states that do it too. They have these things called, Virginia, it was called the checkpoint, checkpoint strike force. That's what they called the officers or whatnot. And they would set up these roadblocks. And everywhere, like every time, there would be certain streets that you go down. They never would tell anybody where they were going to be. They would be, it to me, it was like more like entrapment, because they wait till 2 a.m. to do it when you're getting out of the bar. You know what I mean? Like, but in a way, it had people afraid to drive to drive drunk, or, to even drive, period. You know what I mean? Because they were afraid they're going to get caught up in a checkpoint. If we could do that, something like that here, maybe, Flint, in conjunction with the sheriffs, maybe MSP, I don't even know if Mott could be in on it, U of M police, or however.
I mean, those are actual police departments. They can't. I mean, if you partner with them, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, like, because, I mean, it might sound like I'm being a hater, but this is talking about public safety here. You know what I mean? Like, I like seeing nice cars do donuts sometimes, but when we're talking about, people running from the cops and, doing all type of crazy stuff in the streets, it's got to come to a stop. So, maybe the checkpoints, random places, random streets, random times.
Yeah, I've run into those when I was in the Army, Colorado Springs, right outside Fort Carson.
Mm-hmm.
Let's face it, soldiers, when soldiers get drunk, a lot of them just get, there's a couple or a couple tens of thousands on a base. There's obviously going to be that one dumb one.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
if not multiple of those dumb ones.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to drive drunk. This was a city of Colorado Springs protecting its populace.
Mhm.
And it isn't just the soldiers, there's also airmen, there's just the regular citizens of the city driving drunk. So, Academy is one of the main streets there. You would have periodically a checkpoint, go 4 miles down, another checkpoint,
Mhm.
and you would have to stop, show license, registration. And if they even smelled alcohol on you,
Of
you're
course,
getting out of that car.
of course. No, the other thing that they had, of course, when you see that checkpoint or when you hear of a checkpoint,
Hmm.
because of course it's not going to last very long because people are going to get on Facebook or and
I've
say,
done
hey,
that.
yeah, of course I would too, but to, but to of course the people would find out where the checkpoints would be.
Hmm.
There were, I remember there being police cars placed strategically down the street for people that tried to turn around and didn't try to, were trying to
Hmm.
avoid the checkpoint. So, I'm not saying that that would alleviate everything, but I'm sure that a lot of it would help.
Yeah. I mean, but then we're running into the fact that we're low on cops
Of
again.
course.
Obviously, we'd have to borrow from other
Right,
agencies.
right.
Another thing that I'd like to see done, this sounds petty, right? I'm not going to lie, this sounds petty because it happens all the time. It happened to you and me, or you on when you're on the phone with me, someone just blowing through a stop
Oh,
sign
oh
or
yeah.
passing you around a stop sign, something like
Yeah,
that. And we don't see people get pulled over for that here.
yeah.
I mean, even when there is a cop around, generally ignores it.
Hmm.
And yes, it sounds terrible, but that has lost revenue for the city, which could be then again turned around to hire more police officers.
Right.
Our police here are drastically underfunded, and
Hmm.
we don't get as much of what we need from this vital service.
I was at a barbecue yesterday. I was at a cookout yesterday.
Hmm.
A lady got mad. um this was last night, about 11, 12 o'clock last night. We were winding down to, cleaning up. One of the neighbors gets upset, calls the police. 6 cars show up.
That's a waste of
Six cars
resources.
show up. We're out barbecuing. Nobody was drinking, nobody was smoking. It was just, we were just out just talking. You know what I mean? Like, of
Mhm.
course the cars are running. There's somebody was playing some music, but it wasn't extremely loud. But
And the city of Flint noise ordinance kicks in at 9.
right.
You know?
Oh wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I looked that up the other day.
But it's like if they roll that deep for some, for a cookout, not even one that's out of hand. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like that would be a perfect time for somebody who was trying to do something on the north side of Flint. You know what I mean? To go out and do
Yep.
whatever they wanted to do, because they spend. I don't know if that's how they just answer calls, but there was 6 cop cars coming to a cookout. You know what I mean? Like, and this,
That's crazy to me because, like, so it is completely legal to have a complete or a police scanner.
mm-hmm,
You can go on to Facebook and listen to Flint Police Scanner live.
mm-hmm,
So if you were actually planning on something, if you were doing the actual planning instead of just heat of the moment,
mm-hmm.
listen to that call, car responding, car responding, car responding. Okay, there's no one.
I'm gonna go over here.
I'm gonna go do my thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane. Like all you really needed, if it was, you know, because the way you're describing it is just a tame thing, and the lady was getting a little irritated.
I think
One
she was
cop to
upset she wasn't invited, or maybe she didn't get it right, or I don't know what it was.
one cop show up and say, "Hey guys, this person's irritated. You are doing nothing wrong. Why don't you turn down the music just a little bit and don't wander onto her property by accident?" And it's all good. That's all you need. Instead, 6 cars.
Yeah.
What on earth?
And it was they were cool. They were, I mean, and really shout out to the Flint police for this, because
Mhm.
they rolled up and they were like, hey, look, we just got a call. We got to answer. We got to respond. We were in the area. We know that you guys are, because he saw we were cleaning up. We were leaving, like they all did. But
Mhm.
what do you got? What do you do? It's your job. You got to respond.
Right?
But it's just,
I mean, cops are as beholden as any other government uh, employee to do exactly as they're told.
mm-hmm,
So respond to this call, not to this call. Do
mm-hmm,
this, not this.
mm-hmm,
You know, and then they have their own in department regulations.
mm-hmm,
So for a major accident on a major city street, you must have X amount of cars,
mm-hmm,
and then plus one for X amount of extra thing, extra variable. They have to abide by that, otherwise they lose their job,
mm-hmm,
right? So they hear, well, let's just say this was a large party, a large grill out, and you guys had 40 people,
mm-hmm.
and I guess
Which is not against the law.
no, not at all. Um, But let's just take a hypothetical here, and Flint police have a X to Y ratio. Must have X amount of officers for so many people at the gathering. So they have to follow that. That sounds a little heavy-handed to me.
Hmm.
Where other things could have been done, but
But again,
they have to follow that
and
regulation.
and then they got calls from you the day before or 2 days before saying that there was a crowd out of control party, and the people up and down
Yeah,
the street shooting.
it
So
wasn't even a house party. They were just partying on the
in the
street,
street, right?
dancing on top of cars. Like, I don't mind having fun.
Hmm.
Please go have fun all you want. But after the day after the detectives came and picked the shell casings out my in-law, or sorry, the bullets out my in-law's house, the shell casings off the street. Me and my father-in-law, mostly my father-in-law, I joined late, cleaning up the street. 20 plus large tequila bottles, several
Oh,
vodka bottles, several Mike's Hard lemonades, several blunt wraps, a lot of just baggies where there's a couple nugs in there. And okay, I mean, these were kids. It is not legal in any circumstance in the state of Michigan for anyone under the age of 21 to consume alcohol or marijuana
hmm,
or whatever else may have been done there. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
but
no,
they didn't show up at all for that. But for a calmer party, you guys just sitting there enjoying yourselves, enjoying the summer and good food.
yeah.
Apparently, gets
Music too. There was some blues playing. There was
oh, that's not even like
there was some blues playing.
I can understand my music being a little offensive to some people. I listen to some heavy
There
headbanging
was there
metal,
was yeah.
but blues, but that warrants 6 cars.
Again, they got to do what they got to do. So I don't.
Hmm.
I'm just. My thing is they don't have enough resources. They don't
They
have
don't.
enough. Um, they don't have enough officers to do.
Mm-mm.
Like I just. I don't know. I don't.
Like,
I don't know what we can do to make people want to.
and I was talking to some of these officers, as they're waiting, as I said, and one of them sitting there saying, "We are billeted for 125 personnel." There's that keyword there, personnel.
That's with everyone.
That's with everyone,
Secretaries, janitors,
and the
dogs,
the civilian,
horses.
yeah, the civilian people that they've been hiring to help them with those old
Hmm.
caseloads.
Hmm.
Our detective department is extremely small for a city our size, and granted, this is a small city in and of itself now. And with every new murder, whatever they're just investigating gets pushed back. We have these once every 2 weeks, sometimes a lot earlier. So now they're on to the fresh one because that's where the evidence is freshest. That's where they're going to get their best leads.
Hmm.
And that happens again and again. So they have these civilians come up and, look through past things, at least the paperwork. But that's not doing anything because it's not getting anything done. If we
Yeah.
were to release, say, half those civilians and then hire just straight officers, because those civilians are getting paid more than our officers. So for every one civilian let go, you can get 1.25 officers, or you could just increase an officer's pay rate by X amount, maybe incentivize some more to come here. And as you said, this is a nationwide problem in many places, especially though in the state of Michigan. We have, say, Detroit, notoriously underpoliced in many areas.
I was gonna say
Lansing,
because if you go down to
oh yeah,
downtown or by there are police
oh
everywhere.
yeah,
Like
that's just like Flint. You go downtown, you
yeah,
can't turn a corner without a cop.
there's gonna be police everywhere, but
Other parts of
out on the
Detroit,
miles, yeah.
yeah, like where my armory was
Hmm.
on 8 Mile.
Hmm.
You couldn't see a cop forever
Yeah.
and a day. We had a guy go AWOL. We called the cops and they said, we don't have anyone available. So the entire company goes out and searches a 3 mile radius. And I think it was sub 2-degree weather because we couldn't find this kid. Saginaw and Lansing, same deal. Parts of Ann Arbor, though Ann Arbor has gotten better over the years, much better.
Hmm.
It's flourished, but there's
Hmm.
still some parts that are notoriously underpoliced there.
Here's something that I'd like to know:
Hmm.
ARPA funds, could they be used to raise pay
To raise pay, as far as I
or
know,
maybe
no, but
incentivize?
incentive pay,
Yeah,
yes, they already were. Those bonuses that
right.
caused the controversy.
So technically they could say they could do a hiring blitz like and say we give you $5,000, $10,000 signing bonus or something?
I mean, the amount is arbitrary, but yes, they can do that. They have done that.
Hmm.
But I mean, would I like to see it done again? Yes. Would I like to see where they didn't have to wait as long or there wasn't as much hassle to get their bonus? Once again, yes.
Huh.
Because, like I said before, there was a controversy where some hadn't received their pay yet. And
Right.
I'm not going to go into my general tantric here because I'm trying to be positive. We're trying to find a solution.
Hmm.
So, as easy as you join Flint Police, you're here for a year, here's your bonus. You're here for another year, just like the Army. I joined, I was told $20,000 enlistment bonus.
Hmm.
Sweet. Get half of that up front. Hell yes. And then every year after, I received 2,000 minus taxes because everything gets
Of
taxed.
course. Yeah.
And we could do that for our cops. And, it may not be as extravagant because it's not the U.S. Treasury Department and all that paying, but a little something, say around the holidays when people are struggling. Yes, we'll give you your uh, uh, part of your bonus around the holidays every year. So you got a little bit more for Christmas presents or whatever,
Hmm.
if that tends to be their thing, you know,
Yeah.
or say summer.
I think that when I was growing up, and I'm sure I'm older than you, but there was a program called Dare. And
Mm-hmm.
the Dare program, of course, it was Dare to keep a kid off drugs. It was based on teaching kids to stay away from drugs, say no to drugs, down with
Yep.
up with hope, down with dope, or whatever. But what it also what it also did was it brought in a police officer into the school, and it kind of developed a relationship between the kids, the students, and that police officer,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of, I remember our officer was Officer Yancey. It kind of made us see the police officers as regular people or cool people, or like they're not just these big bad mean people with guns and badges, and what I mean, it kind of,
Back then they had nightsticks too.
yeah, they did, yes, he did. um but it's like programs that would, or different, well, yeah, there'd be programs that kind of bring in the community to the police, or the police to the community. They don't exist, and if they do, they're not as,
Robust.
yeah, as they were. So
Yeah, I
I
remember
think
the
that,
Dare program.
right. So I think that we should kind of try to re-implement
Yeah,
those.
get back to the community outreach and showing that not every cop is what you see on YouTube.
Of
There are a
course.
lot of cops out there that, just like you, trying to do a job.
Yep.
Many of them are trying to do a job out of love for their community.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
just like I got to find this guy's name. It keeps slipping my mind. Sergeant, come here, you. Got to slip through and find it. Wayne Suttles was the guy I spoke to. He said he lived in Flint his entire life.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on the force for 33 years, and he's contemplating retiring in the next 10. So he's looking at spending at least 40 years on the force here in Flint. And he said, at his rank and his time in service, time in the department, he gets a decent pay. Not exactly what we'd call extravagant. And he just wants to do good by Flint.
Mm-hmm.
And I think having him go out and about, like we were saying, community engagement, meet your local cop. If this happens to be a big part of his beat, have someone else cover for a day or two while they hold a event, say at a park,
Mm-hmm.
and he has a little booth there, and he just sits there and BSs with you, hangs out with you, whatever, maybe grilling up some hot dogs or some brats. I mean,
Yeah. I just,
something like that, so we can get some sort of confidence back in our police force because he's the only cop, except for one captain I've met, and I forgot her name, that I've actually met around here, had a conversation with, and I keep forgetting his name. I've got it in my text messages now to remember him because he sat there and he reassured my mother-in-law who was freaking out,
mm-hmm.
and he would not leave, nor would he let her leave until he had answered every one of her questions, made sure she was all right, asked, do we need another ambulance for a panic attack? Do you need anything? Like, the man was so comforting. It is not exactly the stereotype of the cop you see around anymore.
Yeah. especially the thing that I'm I'm gonna say always because there are some bad cops just like there are
Yep.
some bad civilians, but you would think that with all of the stuff that goes on here in the city of Flint,
Hmm.
like I mean, like from everything, I'm not going to go down the negative road,
Oh
but
yeah.
all of the negative that goes on, crime and everything, that we'd have more police shootings and more police beatings and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
they're not doing a bad job as far as being connected to the community or whatnot and engaged or whatnot. They just don't have enough resources. They don't have enough bodies to do what they need to do to show
Hmm.
up or to show strength in numbers, so to speak. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's the biggest thing. But again, I'm not in law enforcement. Maybe Chief Green or maybe they know something that I don't. So
Possibly, or you know, like I've done the math before. If every cop was on duty for 12 hours a day, I think it broke down to a per capita of like, I want to say one cop per, or no, yeah, one cop per 2,500 people in the city of Flint.
wow,
So when they have to go to a multiple officer response, you just left at least 2,500 people. If there's two extras needed, 5,000, higher
hmm
and higher and higher.
that's
So
not a good. That's not a fair fight, regardless of how you look at it.
no,
Like there was, that's not a fair fight. Like,
no, it's very disconcerting to me because you just removed what's supposed to be our protection
hmm
from so many thousand people per call. And when it gets backlogged, sometimes that incident is already run its course.
of course,
And now they're just showing up for paperwork purposes or cleanup purposes. Or, sometimes they show up and it's 4 in the morning. A lot of folks ain't awake at 4 in the morning. There's no one to talk to anymore. So it just has to get, okay, we responded and leave it
but
there.
4 in the morning is when a lot of
Hmm.
the stuff happens. So we need to have people out that are catching the people doing the stuff. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? At 4 in the morning. So, I just, we have to find, but then again, we can't put it all on the police. People
No.
have to find a way to do the right thing anyway. Like people got
Hmm.
to stop being on the bullshit. So, if people get off the, damn, I said bullshit, didn't I? If people get off the bullshit, then you know what I mean? Then,
That's our first swear word after
yeah, my fault, y'all.
no, after 32 minutes. I think you and I are doing pretty good.
My fault, y'all. But I mean, like everything is not on the police. The police come after. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like something has to be done for the police to be called. If people don't do the bullshit, then there's no reason for the
Mhm.
police to be overwhelmed. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we got people shooting at
It's a
everybody.
it's a very loud and disconcerting minority here. Like the majority of folks in Flint just want to go to work, enjoy your family, relax at home.
That's the majority of people everywhere. They want to live a
Exactly.
righteous life,
I
do the right thing by
just
their yeah.
I just want to enjoy it.
hmm
And sometimes enjoying it involves, say, a drink of alcohol. I do it in the comfort and safety of my own home
hmm
where I don't get wild and I know nothing's going to get wild around me.
hmm hmm
Right. However, there is a small portion of the population that likes to make their happiness and their enjoyment, their entertainment, everyone else's problem.
hmm
And yeah, it's like a subculture issue.
In the motorcycle club world, we call it the one percenters.
Mm,
There's 99% of the people that are law abiding citizens that want to just abide by the law and do go to work, take care of their family. But then there's the 1%
that
that
causes all
are
the
that are
problems.
above the law or beside the law or go around the law, and those are the outlaws.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? The outliners. So there's always going to be that population of people, but at the end of the day, for the most part, they only do stuff to other people that are like them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like the killings that are happening here in Flint, they're not random.
No.
They're all tied together. They're some type of way. We don't know, but there's not just random people coming up, waking up dead or how.
The scariest thing to me is a lot of the shootings here happen with untrained shooters or unpracticed shooters
Of
because
course,
you don't even have to be trained to be a decent shot.
of course,
And rounds hit everywhere but where
of
they want them
course.
to hit.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
that's the scariest thing to me in the world
I.
because they were aiming at one dude on my block. They hit a young lady in the back of her car. 2 rounds hit my in-laws' house.
hmm
2 rounds zipped by my house, hit an abandoned one, and My daughter was thankfully in the kitchen at the time,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but where everything happened was her side, and it is because that happens not just like, yeah, I'm an eyewitness to that. That isn't the only time this has happened in Flint. This happens north side, east side. This happens sometimes downtown. I mean, what was it? About a year ago, they were having just I can't remember if it was like a parade or a celebration or just a little fair, and someone decided it's time to start shooting, and you see crowds of people hiding behind cars,
Mm-hmm.
people pulling up Facebook Live. I think another one happened a month ago,
Mm-hmm.
month and a half,
Mm-hmm.
where guys are doing their Facebook Live and they're yelling at this young lady, "Get down behind cover, get down." Why should one person and their problem with the world affect that many other people? It is a domino effect or a suicide, a
Well,
ripple.
hold on. I think it's one person with the problem that has a problem with another person. Why does the world have to give a shit about
Those
your
two's
problem?
problem,
Yeah, like why do we have to duck bullets because you two have an issue?
right?
You know what I mean? Like, and you're too much of a coward to go up and confront the person and fight them like a man or whatever. Like, that's just.
I mean, yeah, even fighting, while I frown upon it, because if you have a problem that is that bad where you feel you must lay hands on someone else,
Mm-hmm.
they've already controlled your emotions.
Yeah, yeah,
But even that is leagues better than taking out your aggression and your anger in a way that can harm bystanders.
right.
You know,
I just like to fight, so.
you know what? When a Flint boxing league happens, I'm
just,
signing you up.
I just like to fight, but that's in my younger days. But then again, there are some cultures that men, before you gain another man's respect, that you have to
Hmm.
see what his hands are like,
Oh
and
yeah,
feet. So
I mean,
you
there were
know,
times in the barracks where 212, my battalion, one guy would get lippy with 1-8, another battalion. So
we got
both
to see what. Yeah,
battalions would
we got
meet
to
up in
see
the
something.
morning.
Yeah, we got to see something. We got to see
I mean,
about it. Yeah,
and the great thing about that was, yeah, everyone came up a little bloody, bruised, sometimes a sprain, something. No broken bones, no deaths. The MPs even started staying out of it because they didn't have enough people.
yeah. But it's like you live. Like now,
Hmm.
we fight together, we bleed together. Now we go and defend the country together. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Or now we go down to Copperhead Road and cause those people headaches.
Right.
Well, let's go get ourselves a fishbowl of tequila. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Tonight. All right, we'll see you next weekend too. I mean,
I'm just sick of the nonsense.
this was one problem, and we can go nationwide further, and look at other things. But we are. There was a period of time where I think some cops lost their way, and it reflected so negatively across the nation
Mhm.
that is reduced the willingness to be a police officer, um, as well as support for police officers, and that comes from like government bodies as well.
Mhm.
Well, constituents don't like police because this happened, because these guys were overbearing, these guys took their power too far, and it reflected poorly. We have to show that we care about our constituency. Let's cut some funding. And now we're in a repercussion of that. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, those cops were. I'm trying not to cuss. Because you asked me not to cuss, and Mickey said he's tired of
No,
my
no,
cussing.
I'm the only one that's cussed today, so
I'm trying.
But I got a question though, and this is a question that I'm sure I'm not the only person that has this question. Why? Because I saw a comment and it said they're just sick of the nonsense and the driving, the reckless driving and speeding. I am too.
Hmm.
I've only seen maybe 4 speed bumps. Maybe 4. There's one on Seneca.
Hmm.
There's 1 or 2 on El Dorado. There's one in front of the mayor's house. And that's I don't know any more.
Hmm.
So how is 4 speed bumps gonna stop?
It's not.
I'm sure that
It
they're more
stops
speed.
it. It stops for those neighborhoods. Like,
It doesn't because where they're placed, it's like there should be more.
mhm.
So who decides where they're going?
I think that falls on city council.
They decide where the speed
I
bumps
believe
go.
so. I could obviously be wrong here. That is just a hard guesstimate on me. But yeah, like my block, Rubes always support local business.
Mm-hmm.
90% of the party does not happen inside of there. That's just where people congregate. They use my street as a racetrack. They get down to from I think it's DuPont all the way. No, it's not DuPont. Anyway, they head toward Woodbridge. They hit Woodbridge. They pull Donut or 12 and then zip back to Rubes.
Hmm.
I I honestly would like a speed bump in my neighborhood. I mean, yeah, it would hurt every time I pull over it going 10. However, I don't have to worry about someone losing control and smashing into Miss Deborah's house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I happen to like Miss Deborah.
I don't, I don't, I don't know. We got 4 speed bumps.
Yeah.
I mean, I live over this way.
Mhm.
I haven't seen any speed bumps over here. You
Mm-mm.
know, over on the College Cultural District area, over
Well, I
I
mean,
haven't.
right outside our studio, there's a T intersection. If you look, there's a lot of skid marks. If you go up by where you know that overpass right next to where you have your school board meetings.
Mm-hmm.
If you're heading north from there,
Mm-hmm. Oh
skid marks
yeah,
there,
I
right
think
in front of that little park.
yeah. I think someone died there, and they had some
Yes,
type
a
of
young
memorial.
lady died there.
Yeah, yeah. So I saw
So,
that. Yeah,
I mean,
but
there's a lot.
they
We
could
can
be
see this all over the place, and the evidence of where it happens is
is right there in the street.
right. Like
So yeah, I
it
think that
doesn't
they
take
could.
a it doesn't take a whatchamacalls it
I,
a
drag
rocket
racing by law.
scientist.
Winter said there's drag racing by law. There's yeah.
There's drag racing by every fellow here.
So why this and I think that city council was talking about trying to make a drag racing track at some point.
That came up by Councilman Quincy Murphy and was shot down. And I was a big fan of the shot down of it for the reason of if the city of Flint owns it, they have to insure it
Mm-hmm,
as well as they're liable. So even if there's a waiver signed and there is an accident,
mm-hmm.
the city of Flint's still liable.
Well, the city of Flint's liable for all these people that's doing all this bullshit up and down the street too.
You can't sue city of Flint for people just doing that bullshit there.
No, but you can sue the city of Flint for cops chasing people, and you know what
Yep,
I mean.
that one they can.
If somebody's running down the doing a donut and the cops see him, they're gonna chase him. You know what I mean? So if I just think that for one, I was all for it. I like to
Actually, that was presented in the very same meeting where I first saw you.
well, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, yep,
Mhm.
yep. So I think that the drag racing track would be good for Flint. Me personally, we got back to the bricks. We got bikes on the bricks. People come show off their fancy cars, and sometimes they want to run them. When Detroit has the what is the Woodward Dream Cruise, they turn Woodward Street into a drag racing track for a quarter of a mile. So I think that it would generate revenue. I think that it would. I mean, true enough, most of the people that are out here speeding up and down the street ain't going to put their car in a race for real, for real. But I think that it could.
At least we've been talking about city council budget, city budget general fund for, in my case, a year. Most of Flint for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
That does sound like at this point because you're right. You can be sued if police run you off the street
Yeah,
when you're running away. I mean, there's got to be some way of preventing a lawsuit in case someone loses control of their high powered, high torque, no grip dragster.
I mean, for one, you got to have insurance on your car. I mean, most people that put all that money into their cars have insurance on them. But so,
Usually,
yeah, but I just think that, and me, I used to be one of those people racing up and down the street in my younger days. I just think that it would do well for the city. You got to go all the way to Lapeer or Milan or somewhere far away to go and legally go to a drag strip and race your car. And
that's a bit far away.
yeah, and they make pretty good money. The track. I'm talking about the
Not
revenue that
just,
the track
I
brings
mean,
in.
yeah. Then if you look at the periphery of it, say City of Flint leases sidewalk space to vendors
Of
for
course.
rather
Oh yeah.
cheap.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So
There's more money
all of that could
than
bring in money.
tickets and money.
Yep. $50 a car to come in and race your car or whatever. And typically they're not really that many accidents on a track day. There are, of course, there
I mean,
are, but
yeah.
there are more accidents that could happen from somebody speeding up Clio Road, you know what I mean,
Yep.
losing control or running from the police down Lapeer or Lippincott, whatever. What is this, Lippincott?
This is Lippincott.
Lippincott, and I just think that every aspect of that still could be looked at as public safety in a way because you're taking away, attempting to take away
You're
this
putting
from,
it in a more controlled environment.
of
At
course.
least you're incentivizing it, especially at lower prices. Like
Mm-hmm.
I really want to get some citywide recognition that doesn't have to rely on no cops being around.
Mm-hmm.
Which, granted, the odds are pretty much in your favor with our small police force. However, it's still a gamble,
Mm-hmm.
and especially with that new ordinance around, you get caught doing some of this stuff in
Oh yeah,
your car goes away now.
yeah,
Then there's
yeah.
no ands, ifs, or buts, and then the judge follows through.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And
Yeah.
then it gets auctioned off to the next person who's going to do the same thing.
The same thing.
I
Like you
mean,
just don't get a high powered car like that, like a 900 horsepower car, just to go to the grocery store and back.
no, you don't. you get that high powered car to go to the grocery store, do some donuts in the parking lot, and then race back.
Or get to the grocery store really fast. But yeah,
I mean, but I think that should probably bring us to the end. We have a few things to do this afternoon. You've got a meeting tonight, 6:30 ish.
yeah, I do. So we do have a board meeting tonight at 6:30. Um, everybody tune in. We've got some things that,
Mm-hmm.
well, not really a whole lot going on. But I do want to put out that we've got just over a year to spend the rest of our ESSER funds. The last of our ESSER funds. Let me see. Once it said there was a comment. The pit.
Sign a waiver.
Huh. Is that where they go and do donuts? I think is that where they? I've seen that on Facebook, on YouTube, and on YouTube.
Hmm.
But
No.
somebody has they have to have a place to do it.
Yeah.
Unless they have a place that they can go and do it, donuts or whatever, burnouts or whatever you want to do, then they're going to continue to do it where nobody wants them to do it.
Where we live,
Of course,
on our residential streets. And
of course.
granted, they'll do it at night where kids aren't playing, but you lose control once, you smash a house. It doesn't matter if your kid's outside. Now they're inside, and that car might have just plowed into their bedroom.
Right. So I'm all for, and this is partly because I'm just a car guy. I'm a motorcycle guy, but these people need some outlet. The people are crying. They're saying we got these cars. I spent my money on this car.
Mm-hmm.
I need somewhere to release this horsepower.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know,
And then you've got the cars with 2 horsepower, and one of the horses has leukemia trying to catch up.
right. But
Those are the funny ones.
we've got 20 empty schools we could use. I'm not saying we could, me as school board president, I'm saying this is
The city can buy those schools in those parking lots
Or-
from
right,
a private entity,
just
maybe.
to have somewhere to go. There's so many abandoned buildings here, or parking lots that they could and maybe they could put a police officer there, or because everybody just wants to see people's or people just want to do it. So however,
But I think this was a good conversation. We'll have to think of what to talk about next week, and maybe make it a larger issue, statewide or nationwide, and see what you and I can come up with on that.
I'm down. I
So,
do want to say before we hang up is I hope that they find this submarine,
yeah.
the one that's controlled with the Logitech controllers or the PlayStation controllers. Like,
Yeah.
people paid $250,000 to go in a submarine that's controlled by a.
I mean, when you're going down, I think it was 34,000 feet.
They were
below
2
sea
miles
level.
under the sea level when they
Yeah.
last had. So,
I mean, if they nicked the Titanic at all, that thing just turned into a crushed soda can.
mhm.
You're not going to find people. You're going to find O positive people juice.
Yeah.
Let's hope that isn't the case, and they just lost power, and they're going to pull them back up.
I hope so. They only got like 14, 15 hours of air left. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah.
I think that'll do us. So
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thanks for watching.
For the premiere, and stay tuned weekly.